All right, here's the deal. I've been doing this long enough to know that there's a cycle to fish keepers. You start up this hobby and you absolutely love it. Things are great. You can't get enough of it. But after about 6 months, you either get bored or things go wrong and you kind of get tired of it. And this is where one of two things is going to happen. You either quit and bail and sell all of your stuff on Facebook Marketplace, or you get completely obsessed, want to get more tanks and try new things. Now, in this video, I'm obviously not talking to the ones that quit. Well, I mean, they're not watching this video anyways. I'm talking to you crazy people that have stuck with it and want to try new things. And one of those new things is almost always trying to breed fish. Breeding fish is fun. It's cute and it's rewarding because you get to raise these little babies. But here's the thing. There's fish in this hobby that are super difficult to breed because they have very specific water requirements that can be a hassle to achieve. But there's some that are pretty much guaranteed to breed no matter what your water looks like. And that's what these fish that we're going to talk about are. Fish that are almost guaranteed to breed so that you can have fun and level up your hobby. All right, let's get this one out of the way because you already know it's coming. Guppies. It's a surprise to exactly no one that guppies are the first fish on this list. Guppies are unanimously known to be one of the most prolific breeders in the hobby, and you don't really need to try. But if you do want to try and you want to set up some tanks to breed guppies on purpose, here's a few tips. Obviously, you'll need males and females. This isn't hard to do because there's some pretty obvious differences between them. The males are the ones with the big, fluffy, colorful fins, and the females are usually larger and look nice, but their fins aren't nearly as elaborate. I'd recommend you set up at least a 20-gallon tank to breed them in, and that might surprise some because they can fit in small tanks, but my reasoning is simple. If you have a 20-gallon, you'll have room to let them breed and just keep the babies with the parents. For a little while anyway. I was also going to recommend some floating plants like guppy grass or hornwort, but the thing is, they'll breed without it. If you have other fish in the tank that might eat the fry, then yes, get them some floating plants to hide in. But if it's just guppies, all they need is water. Just be ready, because believe me when I tell you from experience, it can get out of control very fast. My fish room has guppies in every tank where the fish that are in it won't eat them. They're everywhere. The next fish that is another surprise to absolutely no one is convict cichlids. The nice thing about convicts is I've got a good story to tell about them. Sometime around 1995, I had a 29-gallon tank with convicts in it. I wasn't trying to breed them, but the thing is, you really don't have to. If you put them in water, they're gonna breed. Well, they did breed, and there was like 100 babies. I spent weeks and weeks taking care of these fry and trying to find someone to take all the babies, and believe it or not, about 2 months after they were born, I found someone. His name was Chris Perry, and he was a coworker of mine when I worked for the cable company. I remember how good it felt to scoop all those babies up out of the tank, put them in a bucket, and deliver them to Chris. It was such a huge relief, and I felt like I did a good thing. And then like 3 days later, I got home from work and they did it again. Welcome to convicts. Okay, this one is going to be the last one that's super obvious, I promise. Platies. Probably one of the first fish you ever had, well, except for me because I was an idiot and started out with an arowana and an Oscar. You're going to find these fish in every single pet store on the planet, and the reasons why are simple. They're cute little fish that don't bother anyone and come in a bunch of different colors. Some of them even have little Mickey Mouse ears on the tails. I've received no less than 500 emails over the years from people that all start like this. I set up my first tank with 2 angels, 6 Corridoras, 6 neon tetras, and oh yeah, a bunch of platies. It makes sense because, like I said, these are some awesome little fish, but if you're going to keep them, you need to know they're promiscuous little floozies that'll breed constantly with no additional effort from the fish keeper at all. And like guppies, these are live bearers, which means that little free-swimming babies just pop out and start swimming around looking for food. Selecting males and females isn't terribly hard. The females will be a little more round with a round anal fin, and the males will be a little more fit with a pointy anal fin. If that's all too much for you, just ask whoever you're buying them from to give you a nice assortment of both. Give them at least a 20-gallon aquarium, keep their water reasonably clean, and get ready. The babies are coming. Okay, this is where the real fun begins, and for a lot of people like me, breeding African cichlids is something that can change your life forever. For the purposes of this video, when I talk about African cichlids, I'm referring to the big three that originate from Lake Malawi in Africa. Mbunas, peacocks, and haps, or haplochromans. I just prefer to say haps. All three of these fish types breed the same and require pretty much the same setup with some minor differences, but the first thing you need to know is these fish are maternal mouth brooders. This means that after the spawning process, the female will take the eggs into her mouth and carry them for a period of around 3 weeks. After 3 weeks, she'll spit them out and poof, you got a bunch of babies. And let me tell you, you'll be shocked how many babies will swim out of her mouth, even for the smaller females. The reason I say breeding fish can change someone's life is because these fish are so easy to breed. It's basically put males and females together, give them somewhere to hide, and eventually it'll happen. And the fish are highly sought after. So when it happens, the fish keepers are like, I could make some serious money doing this. Yeah, I did that too. One of the challenges with breeding these fish should be obvious. If they breed in a tank with a bunch of adult fish, the fry are going to get eaten pretty much instantly. Yes, it's barbaric, but it's nature, and nature can be pretty cruel. If you want to ensure your baby Africans don't get eaten, you can do one of two things. First is give the babies tons of hiding places. It doesn't have to be as elaborate as my yellow lab setup, but even with all those rocks, I only have a few babies survive. They hide out all day and come out when all the grown-ups are eating and distracted. Just stack up some rocks and give the babies somewhere to go. The other way, which will almost guarantee the baby's survival, is to get them out of there. This can be done two ways. One is to strip the females like you see Hunter from Ron Cichlids doing here, then take the babies and put them in a little tank by themselves. Or you can implement an even easier and more satisfying strategy, which would be to remove the female that still has the babies in her mouth and move her to a tank by herself. This is much less stressful for her, and you get to see nature work the way it was intended. Breeding African cichlids is a super rewarding thing to do, and it's not hard at all. Just be careful. You might get so addicted to it that you buy 127 tanks, start a website, open a store, then close that store, almost go bankrupt and come close to losing everything, and 10 years later, you're still feeling the effects. But I'm not trying to scare you. We were dumb. Don't be dumb, and this can be a lot of fun for you. Shell dwellers. These are also African cichlids, but they come from a different part of Africa. They come from Lake Tanganyika, which is the biggest lake in Africa. These fish get their name for obvious reasons. They like to build their homes inside of big empty shells. These are smaller cichlids that do things very similar to the other three African cichlids, but again, they do it in shells. So if you want to keep these and breed them, well, you're going to want to give them shells. Where do you get those shells? No idea. I don't really need to spend any more time on these. Put males and females together and they'll breed, but I did want to say one more thing. If you put like 20 of those big empty shells that I don't know where you'd go to buy into a tank and you get a bunch of these fish and put them in there, they all divide up and they all pick their own homes and it's like they live in a little neighborhood. It's just damn cute. Yes, I am a grown man that does not mind describing something as cute. They're cute. I'll say it to your face. Okay, now we got to get to the part of the video where all the smart people are going to put in the comments, you know, John, snails aren't fish. I thought this was a video about breeding fish. Do you think I'm an idiot? Well, you're right, I am. Snails aren't fish. There, I admitted it, so let's move on. What snails are, especially ram's horn snails, they're one of the most rapidly reproducing things you'll ever find in an aquarium. There's never been an aquarium inhabitant that has been better described as just add water and they'll breed than ram's horn snails. We've had them breed in ponds that were frozen over on the top, tanks that hadn't had maintenance in a year, and even a cup of water on the floor. The reason I bring them up in this video is because they can actually become a problem if they're not kept in check. How do you keep them in check? Well, what most people do is put fish in the tank that'll eat them, but there's another way. And that's to starve them out from what they need to thrive. What do they need? Well, they need filth. Yeah, they thrive on things that we as fish keepers can't be bothered with, like uneaten food, dead plant leaves, and algae, or what my friends across the pond like to call algae. If your tank has a lot of stuff like that in it, they're going to have a field day and reproduce like crazy. So keeping your tank clean isn't going to kill them, but it'll drastically slow them down. I personally don't have a problem with them in my tanks. In fact, I like them, and we sell them on our website. Tell you a little story about how prolific ram's horn snails breed. I have them in this tank right here. Why? Because my wife one day had some that were undesirable that we couldn't sell on our website, and she thought, I'll feed them to the Oscars. Well, my Oscars are lazy, and they're not interested in ram's horn snails. So they went in there, and they started reproducing. There must be 5,000 of them in that tank right now, and none of the fish that are in there want anything to do with them. I just let it do its thing. It doesn't bother me. If it becomes a problem, I'll do something with it, but they don't bother me. I think it's kind of cool. It makes it look a little bit more natural. If you have a problem with ram's horn snails and you don't want to see them go crazy like that, well, you should just stay away from them altogether. Don't say I didn't warn you. Okay, this one will be easy. Shrimp. More particularly, cherry shrimp will breed in the exact same environment that I just described to be perfect for ram's horn snails. And that's all I'm going to say about that. This video is already too long, so we'll get through this one real quick. Plants. Plants aren't snails. So stupid. Plants are another thing that you can put in your tank and under the right conditions will reproduce like crazy and you really won't be able to stop them. Yeah, there's tons of plants like Anubias and Bucephalandra that don't grow super fast, so they'll never really be a problem, but a lot of your stem plants like Rotala and Ludwigia and rosettes like Swords and Crypts will absolutely reproduce like crazy. But pretty much no one will ever consider that to be a problem like they would with snails. I don't know that I've ever heard someone ever in my 30 years of fish keeping complain that plants reproduce too fast. I mean, I guess unless it's like hornwort or something like that. That stuff can be a problem real fast. Trimming plants is part of the deal with planted aquariums, and to me, it's part of the fun. I love tanks that are overplanted with so many in there that there's not much room for anything else, but at some point it has to be done. And the nice thing is, with most stem plants, you can take the pieces that you've trimmed off and replant them somewhere else or give them to your friends. No one has ever complained about free plants. So there you go, some examples of fish and other things that are almost guaranteed to reproduce in your aquarium. I really appreciate you watching, and if you appreciate what we're doing, we would love it if you checked out our website, keepfishkeeping.com. All of the links will be down in the description, or you can click on the little YouTube shopping button right there. It's super easy. We would definitely appreciate it if you did that. But if you don't want to do that, I understand. Maybe you could just subscribe. That is totally free, and it really does help us out a whole lot. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.